Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to Show and Tell number 305. It is 4 a.m. Thursday morning as I'm filming this. So we are going full, like, no makeup, just tied my hair back. I got my Feral Girl summer shirt on. I could not talk to save my life as I was trying to film earlier. And I was like, okay, once again, we're just going to work around what we got. So I did at least throw some elf. What is this? It doesn't have the name on the bottom. Black cherry lip gloss on. And I have my coffee here in my Kickwheel Studio mug. And we're gonna try this. So my brain has been much better first thing in the morning, but I normally don't try to film at 4 a.m. because that seems really weird, even if it's just me in my own house. So, but yeah, here we are. We're gonna make it work for us. So anyway, yeah, I have 4 WIPs, 1 finished object. We have some media, some pet text to talk about. So the as far as life for the last week, it's just been busy. As like I've said the last couple of weeks, it's just those little activities that just kind of bite and chip away at your day. And next thing you know, you've been trying to sit down for 6 hours and you haven't sat down in 12. It's little things like that. And part of it, like my brain will start like last night at 7:30, for some reason, I wanted to tidy things that I just have been neglecting and working on the ADD clearing off surfaces. Because if there's a flat surface, I'm going to stack stuff. And everything's organized. I know exactly where everything is in each little stack, but it is kind of a cluttered mess. So for some reason, I spent an hour and a half last night picking things up like that. So that's what I mean when I say like it's just nothing dramatic, nothing bad, nothing horrible is happening, but these little nibbles get taken out of the day. And I look at the day I'll sit down to eat dinner and I'm like, where did my entire day go? I haven't sat down since 5 a.m. So yeah. Anyway, I am going to go ahead. We'll jump straight in with our WIPs. I'm going to try to keep my chitter chatter limited instead of the normal. All right. So with our WIPs, I had originally planned on this kind of being a socks week. And I did pretty good, except all I did was put in heels. I didn't cast on my dad's next pair of socks. I didn't work up anything new as far as that goes. So we do have new cast-ons though. And not new cast-ons. We have heels. No new cast-ons. We have heels. So first off, my Universal Stanza socks. So this is Universal Stanza and Blake. I put in heels. This is Knit Pick Stroll in Vibrant Violet. Yes. I wanted something similar in the gradation of pinks and purples here. And this just seemed kind of like the next bright version of the raspberry color here. These are being worked from the inside and outside of the ball. So we have a complete reverse order. So we've got like purple, raspberry, pink. Yeah, so these will probably be for me. That is the plan right now. Don't forget, summer sock camp is going on. She's not going by Kay now, and now I forgot her real name, her full name. Oh my! This is why I don't film at 4:30 in the morning. Crazy Sock Lady. So don't forget summer sock camp. I do have my summer sock camp mug. I used it when I was trying to film the other day or yesterday, and I can't show you this year's mug. 2024's mug is right here. It got retired from the kitchen because of space, and now I bought another one. Next up, we have heels and my hamburger socks. So this is Knit Picks Felici and Hamburger. The cuff here is in Premier Serenity Sock and Brown. Same yarn for the heel. And last time you guys saw this, we were halfway through the red stripe here. I put in my heel halfway through the red stripe, and I have worked a bit of the foot. So what happened was I was on the heel of the next pair of socks and couldn't take those on my walk. So I took these on my walk because I'd gotten the heels put in these. So the Baker Street Sherlock socks and the Universal Stanza socks are both vanilla socks, shadow wrap heel, round toe. And I will have links for the shadow wrap heel and the round toe in the description box down below. This pattern is the heel tab shorty sock. And I really like this. It's kind of fidgety. I would love to figure out how to do this toe up. I think I just need to try to do it toe up. I can put in a lifeline. If I don't like it, I can do a ribbed cuff shorty. But this is a fold over cuff. I will have a link for that down below as well. Those are both free. But for this, I don't use the heel or the toe that's in the pattern. I still use the shadow wrap heel and the rounded toe. I do have another pair. I probably should have brought them up here. I need to Kitchener the toe shut on the pair of these that I made last year, but I had to rework a substantial part of the toe and foot. So now that those are ready to be Kitchenered shut again, I am actually going to submit those for summer sock camp because I feel like having to work that much of the toe, I deserve to be able to submit those. I made a mistake when I was trying to Kitchener them shut, and we lost stitches, and reworking ended up having to happen. So I never fixed it last year, so I fixed it this year. But yeah, that's where we are. That's what happened. So I need to Kitchener those shut here in the next day or two. I need to finish casting off the 8-bit socks, and I need to weave in ends on Troy's last pair of socks, the Corey white socks. I need to weave in the ends on those. They're sitting on my side table. I just hate weaving in ends. And I really hate weaving in ends on socks. So before I get too much further, I need to do the heels for these. So this is Knit Picks Felici in Baker Street. This is Premier Serenity Sock in Navy. And for this one, it's just a vanilla sock again, except I'm going to do I've already established it, you just can't see it, a knit 3, purl 3 rib for the leg, and then I'll do a knit 2, purl 2 for the cuff. I have not 100% decided I am not going to use any of the Premier in the cuff. I might switch to it. I don't know yet. I have not made that final decision. But the last time you saw these, we were down here. So we worked up to here, put in the heel, and have now worked up to here. So I've gotten a lot done on these. My socks, I've had good progress on, very consistent as expected progress. But because I was putting in heels and trying to cast on toes, which didn't happen, that did, it's like for an entire night after dinner, I can do like 1.5 heels. So that's, 5 nights of my knitting right there, after dinner knitting. So it is what it is. It's heels, for some reason, heels and toes, they feel like they take forever. But I mean, to be fair, it takes me about an hour per heel, especially with these. The ones for my dad are 72 stitches. The ones for me are 64 stitches. So it can take a little bit longer on those men's size 12s because it's in some big feet. Between Troy and my dad, like, that'll be 8 pairs of socks this year that have been ginormous dude socks. So It's a good thing I can walk in knit socks. Otherwise, I may never get done. So up next, we have my linen stitch shawl that is part of my June make along project. So in the mid-month check-in, I had the chain, and I had just done the first row of linen stitch in this color here. I did frog out what I had done in the first linen stitch row. Or I did a row of single crochets. So I did a row of single crochets and 2 linen stitch rows. I frogged out the single crochets, added some more stitches. So we are now, I think I did 400 instead of 300 stitches. I did want this to be extra, extra large. I want this to be, a huge wrap. I want to be able to, put it over my shoulders technically like this and be able to belt the shawl, either from the back or from the front, depending on, how I feel like wearing it. But I did want something that was a big, travel shawl or blanket shawl. There are a couple different names out there for them. But I was aiming for something closer to 100 inches by 65 inches. So, I mean, we're substantially over, my height here. But if I wear this as a shawl, I mean, we're large, but it's not, I mean, we're a couple inches above my knee, wearing it, around my shoulders like this, crossing in front, how I normally would pin it. We're hitting right here on the hip. So it's not so dramatically large that it's comical. Like the classic, Lenny Kravitz, giant scarf that you can't see. There's a person in there. We're not quite to that size, but I wanted something that was overly large. So I have 3 balls of each color. This is Knit Picks Brava in their sport weight. And I have Tide Pool, Dove Gray, Peapod, Mint. I can't remember the other 2 colors. There's 6 colors in total. I picked these colors based on one of those Karen chunky mini cakes, the little mini cupcakes that they did. I made a hat, I think, out of the one I had, but I really liked the colors. So I chose these based on that. I don't think I'm going to do an even number of, I'm not going to do like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way up, as much as I would love to. 6 balls is too much to run up the side. And I kind of want something that gives me something irregular. I want it to be in pattern, and I want it to be regular enough that it doesn't make your eyes go crazy, but I want it to be irregular enough in the number of rows that it looks randomized. So I think I'm going to do 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2 as a pattern, because that will, when I come back around to this color, this will not be a 3 row. It'll now be like a 2 row or a 4 row. And that'll just add some, undulation and movement without being overwhelming. But I want something that's consistent and regular, but offers variety in how it looks. So that is all of our WIP. So now let's pop over for our FO. Okie dokie, artichoke. So one of the things I've been trying to do, I'm going to put up pictures here. To my embarrassment, I have a mess around me on the sofa. And I think it's one of the reasons why, so I am cluttered, but I'm clean. So things get dusted, things get wiped down constantly in my house. But I have stacks and I have piles. And like I said, I know where everything is amongst all of this stuff, but I am a cluttered mess. So I've hit that like visual, I can't take this anymore, between this and like my, I have an organized thing going on my dining room table, and I'm trying to not take up all the visual space in our house right now. But because I took down the cedar mallee, that's 2 huge baskets of what you're seeing here. And I haven't had time to really sit down and work on that recently. I'm actually hoping I can get a lot of work in on that, hopefully today, this afternoon. But we'll just, again, we're doing this play it by ear, see how everything lands. But yeah, so I'm trying to get all this stuff cleaned out. So that drove me to picking up this scarf. Last time we saw this, I was halfway through. I had just hit this max point of the increase on this scarf. So this is a very shallow increase, kind of inspired by like the Sophie scarf, I guess, that's been so popular. It has the I-cord edges. I increased every 10 rows based on my notes. And obviously when I did the decreasing, I decreased every 10 rows. We do not match up evenly though. And this is something weird. I've had this happen with a couple projects. So we're short a little bit on the decrease side. Like there's a little bit of shortness here. And if you look, let's match up the straight edge. If you look here, there is a difference in the width on each side, and I don't understand what happened. When it's out like this, you can't tell. Obviously, when you're wearing it, you can't tell, but that was kind of odd. So this is the Bernat lattice in Blacklight. I reviewed the yarn earlier this year. I really love this, and I just like I did with the Checkmate shawl, the drape and the texture I got with this project is really phenomenal. To be a relatively inexpensive, readily available, yarn, I'm really surprised at how much I like the texture on this. It's a little unusual, but the drape in the garter stitch here is just phenomenal. I will be keeping this for myself, I think, just because I don't think I can make, I have like half a skein left or less than half a skein left. I don't really have enough, I don't think, to even make a full ear warmer. So I can't really, I guess I could donate it just as a scarf, but I don't think it will require like super delicate care. Anyway, I love this yarn. I do really wish I had seen this sooner and maybe played with some of the more neutral colors as well. Although right now with the black and brights, I'm enjoying that collection too. So the scarf is nothing. I used a pattern, but the pattern calls for a sharper increase than what I did here. It's a 8-row increase. If I can find the pattern, my clipboard just had my notes. So I don't know where the original pattern was pulled from. If I can figure out where I pulled the pattern from, if I made notes in my notebook for it, I will put that in the description box down below. But it's just a slow increase with the I-cord edge worked as you go, which I love. I always forget that's an option. And especially for something like this where you have that textured yarn to hide your ends, it gives you like the perfect place to weave those in to where they're not going to be seen and not going to create any extra bulk or visual deformity. So kind of love that. So that is everything that I worked on here in the last week. I didn't get anything done on my cards. I do have, I'll share it once I get it done, but I do have a small Lego kit I want to make, and I have a large Lego kit I want to make. I just haven't had time to sit down, but for Christmas, Troy got me the Tuxedo Cat Lego kit, and the other day he got a small cockaboose from the USC alum organization, and he's like, well, you like putting Lego together. I love Lego. I love fidgety little things. I have so much fun with them. So anyway, eventually I'm going to sit down and put those together, but I haven't had time to do that. That's on my list of like things I have set out to do. But yeah, I haven't even had time to like sit down at the flatbed knitting machine or anything. I have one more panel I need to knit off for the strip GAN. I still need to put edges on my baby blankets and stuff. There's like so many little things like that I still have left to do that I haven't had time to sit down and do. Like I said, it's crazy how those little 30-minute things here, I have to run out and grab a ... because I forgot it at the store. Those just consume so much time. It is absolutely wild how much time you can lose just in those little things. So anyway, let's cycle over to media real quick. All right. So as far as media goes, we have the Aurora Tea Garden series. We're now back to pool season. I've now had 8 months to recover from the ending of the last book. So we are back to reading the Aurora Tea Garden series. So this is where I am now. I can finish a book in like 4 to 5 days if I get of going out and floating in the pool. Pop on my UV shirt, my giant straw hat, and just float for an hour, kicking my feet. I have a chair and I will just sit there and kick in circles around the pool. So I'm moving. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I love a good cozy murder mystery. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I have, I think, 2 Maggie Sefton series in the guest room on the shelf. And there's another one that I think I've got the first like 3 or 4 books for. It's another one where I think Hallmark tried to do movies. I think it's the one, the Allison Sweeney Baker, the cookie series. I think I've got like the first couple books of that in there. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is Apollo 13. So I've got about 2 hours left. I do want to say, I thought I knew a good amount about Apollo 13 coming in, and I've definitely learned some things, but I want to take a second to talk about something that I don't think anybody else would probably talk about. The voicing for this book is fascinating to me. From a psychological standpoint, this is, Jim Lovell's story. This is his story. And there is a co-author who I'm sure has massaged the story to make the narrative flow better, because it is a difficult story to tell, because we've got 3 stories. Once Apollo 13 launches, we have 3 stories. We have space, we have mission control, and we have Marilyn Lovell's story, his wife, and what's going on kind of in their house, her holding down the fort, the family's perspective. And we have these moments where we're jumping back into time where things were being discussed and stuff. So I'm sure the co-author, massaged the narrative to keep this flow. But it is very clear that the voicing for this story is Jim Lovell's voicing. I don't want to make this sound like something you shouldn't read, because I think it's especially if you're interested in the space program, and the men who made the space program, what it took to be an astronaut. This is a very fascinating book to read, because it is Jim Lovell's voicing, and the story, if you're looking for something that mimics the movie where it's action-packed and fast-paced and everything, you're not going to get this. Why it's so fascinating, though, is the reason why it's so slow. The reason why it's so slow is you have that commander's mindset. When something goes wrong, time slows down and you start your checklist, and you're filling in your checklist, and you're doing the things to survive and to make sure your team survives. And this is a known trait in battlefield leadership. Good leaders are able to do that time slow down checklist. And it's fascinating because we actually feel that in the narration of what occurred. And it is explicit without having been said. And it's absolutely fascinating. Now, I am listening to it, which probably does give me a slightly different perspective. I'm listening to the audiobook, but this is, it is so slow paced. I can only listen to about an hour and 30 minutes before I have to take a break. And it's not because it's not interesting. It just is very slow paced and very methodical, but it illustrates why they survived and the mentality it took to survive what could have been a horrific tragedy. And it is absolutely fascinating. I know Troy's sick of hearing, excuse me. I know Troy is sick of hearing me talk about it because it's not what you think is important to the story. And it's not just this. So the other thing that I've noticed is Jim Lovell has very deep respect for a lot of people he talks about in this book. And you can tell. The first one that you really notice is when he's talking about Frank Borman. And Borman having to do the post-mortem on the launch pad failure. And you walk away knowing how much Jim Lovell thinks about his intelligence, his competence, his he's going to get the job done. And Lovell did not want that job. And Borman is the man that can do it and do it right. And you know how much Lovell thinks of Borman listening to that section. And then, of course, talking about them flying together is a whole different conversation. And it is fascinating because there is no doubt in your mind that he has immense respect for Frank Borman. When he talks about his wife, it is special because it's not poetic, it's not lovey-dovey, it's not fluffy language or anything else. But he admires her resilience, her strength, her ability to hold down the fort, maintain, keep things as calm on ground as he is trying to keep them in air. And it is absolutely amazing reading the story because he never says any of this, but you know it. Just in the way he chooses to describe certain things. Nothing in this is poetic language, with the exception of the word usage of Brobdingnagian to describe the size of the Saturn V rocket, which I think is one of my favorite never used words. So when I heard that, I was on a rip that day over that choice of word. But that is the only poetic word usage in the entire book. It's Brobdingnagian. Everything else it's not cut and dry, but it is methodical and intentional, and the language used is very intentional. And there are people that he talks about where you can tell that they either had personality conflicts with each other or he did not respect them. And clearly this is a person where, in this type of environment, obviously you've got to be able to trust and respect the people you're working with because your life depends on their success. There are situations, as occurred with Apollo 13, where it's life and death. If somebody cannot complete their job, bad things can happen, and you need to be able to trust the people you're with in those situations. So I'm not saying this isn't a judgment or anything. I mean, you've got to be able to trust these people. So it is fascinating that without saying, I think this guy was a rogue renegade blowhard, he thinks this guy is a rogue renegade blowhard. It is fascinating to me, the voicing for this book and the choice to let it actually be the astronaut's story from their perspective. And you have there's no doubt that this is an ordered mind, this is a structured mind. And when he's talking about important things, you can, like I said, once that first explosion happens, time slows down in the narrative of what's going on in space. It is very slow. And you can tell he's slowed down time in his mind and he was running his checklist. He was, doing what needed to be done in order to to survive and make it home and to get his team home. And it's fascinating because you literally feel the time start to stretch all of a sudden out of nowhere. And it took me a minute to realize what had happened when time stopped. And it is wild. It really is just kind of wild. And it's not true for the whole book. And I imagine as we hit at least getting to Earth's atmosphere, we're all of a sudden going to have time speed up again all of a sudden, because it's not, Jim Lovell had no control over what happened at that point. So it's real time. This is just what occurred. But everything that he has control over since that explosion, we've had that lengthening of time experience. And once again, it's not anything explicit that's being said. You just feel that shift in the language and the feel of the shift and how he's describing things and talking about things and the experiences as they're going through. And it's not detached language. This isn't somebody who's detached from the moment, but it's fascinating because it's such a real time experience. But I wanted to say, I thought that was fascinating. And so if you're interested in the man in the spacecraft, I highly recommend this to understand that type of mind, because you see the discipline and the structure and so many of us think of the early astronauts as being adrenaline junkies, but there was so much more to them: the exploration, the engineering, many of these were officers. They are trained for focus and direction, and you see that in this, and it's wild. It is a wild, different perspective. I didn't really know a whole lot about Jim Lovell coming in, other than like press type stuff. So it's fascinating getting a little bit more of a peek behind the door of the child that grew into the man, and the career he had before joining NASA and the fight he had getting into NASA. I highly recommend it if you're interested in the space program and more of the behind the scenes stuff. It is fascinating, but it's also a brilliant character study, or a chance for a character study of Jim Lovell, because it is clearly his voicing, and it's so palpable without being directly said. I don't know. I can't describe anything else that I've ever read that's been quite like this. I mean, I've read a lot of autobiographies or histories from the perspective of people in it, and this is unlike anything, psychologically unlike anything else I could describe. It's fascinating. So anyway, that's Apollo 13. The other thing we've done, we're out of stuff in our regular viewing to watch, finishing Ghost and everything else. Like we're in a drought again. So we've been watching the Harry Potter movies. It started, I had 2 hours free. I turned on the first movie. I was like, if I get interrupted, that's fine, because that's been the story of the last couple of weeks. I'm getting interrupted every 15 seconds for stuff. So I was like, if I get interrupted, it's fine. I'm not going to be upset because I know the movie. I've seen it before. It's nothing new for me. And I got interrupted for the last time, 2 hour span. I got stuck where Hagrid is getting Harry off the island. So what's that, 15 minutes into the movie? So anyway, Troy got home for dinner and everything. He's like, there's nothing else on. Why don't we just finish watching your movie? Every single night, we've gotten, both of us, at least one phone call while we're trying to eat dinner and watch the movie. So without fail. Some nights there are multiple phone calls that will happen between both of us, and not all of them were important or interesting. So it's been funny. Just the timing has been ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We've watched these 900 times. At least once a year, we end up watching all the movies straight through. So this is, I guess, this year's version of that. Normally it happens between Black Friday night. I don't know why. Through like December 7th. We don't normally watch one a night. It's just kind of like every other night, every third night, we watch a movie. Somehow that's ended up happening multiple times now, but I guess this is this year's watch through. So tonight or tomorrow night, we will watch the second half of Deathly Hallows and we'll be done. So nothing really interesting there. We don't have a new TV show we gotten into. Like I said, we accidentally binge watched The Burrows, which my mom and dad are in the middle of watching it, but they said they think there's going to be a second season for that one. So we'd really love to find something maybe a little bit more adult and mature, like when we watch The Stranger, something kind of in that realm, even if it's a limited series. Just something a little bit beefier, a little bit meatier, especially now that we've done the last couple things have been Ghost UK, The Burrows, and now Harry Potter. We probably need something a little bit. Troy's also been watching a lot of Star Trek Voyager clips recently, so it might also be a time for us we need to kind of go back and rewatch season 2 through the end of Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager again. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and run. I hope you enjoy the pet tax. Just a reminder, Troy's book, The Adventure Cats, as well as The Adventure Cats and the Seven Branch Sword are both out. I have links down below for those. The Seven Branch Sword is my favorite of the trilogy. The third book should be out later this year. So I'm very excited. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you are having a wonderful, fantastic day. As always, I look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye, guys.